This Part 5 completes our 2022 spring RV trip out west, and we'll be covering the remaining 21 days and 2,457 miles returning home. That's like a 44.5-hour driving hours. Starting out, we've already made a 193-mile, 3.5-hour drive from Page, Arizona down to Camp Verde, Arizona, which is south of Sedona. While in Camp Verde, we visited the Montezuma Castle and the Tuzi National Monument, which is more ancient ruins. Then over to Jerome, Arizona, which Jerome used to be a very large copper mining town. And then the Chapel of the Holy Cross in Sedona. From Camp Verde, we traveled back to Winslow and camped at the Homolovi Ruined State Park, then back through Albuquerque, down to Roswell, New Mexico, through San Angelo, Texas, and then on to San Antonio for our son's basic training graduation. From San Antonio, Texas, we basically headed straight back home on I-10 through Florida, stopping for a few days in Lady Lake to visit some friends. We selected the Distant Drums RV Resort mainly because of its easy access to get in and out of. Plus, up in Sedona, they got a lot of real tight roads and roundabouts up there. That, and of course, it was about half the price as a high-end resort up in Sedona. The Cliff Castle Casino was located really close by, just across Interstate 17 from our campground, almost a walking distance. So we took advantage of their buffet for a dinner and a breakfast. One other nice benefit we received from staying at this resort is they gave us a $10 coupon to use over at the casino, which came in very handy when we visited their buffet. Well, a little background info here. The Montezuma Castle was built around 1100 AD by the Sinagua people and ultimately was mysteriously vacated by 1425 AD. It's a 5-story structure built about 150 feet up in the side of a limestone cliff. In the 1860s, Europeans discovered the abandoned ruins and thought they had been constructed by the Aztecs, so they named it Montezuma Castle after the Aztec Emperor Montezuma, although it is believed that he had never set a foot in Arizona. This is called a scratching bush for very good reasons. It had sharp thorns all over it. I tried to take a picture of them, but they were kind of hard to pick up on camera. This talks about the Arizona walnut that was a really hard nut to crack. The Apaches used the thick green husk to produce golden paint, cloth, and dye hair. Dense hook-shaped spines on the branches of this shrub give it the nickname "Wait a Minute Bush." due to its ability to hold up unwary hikers by catching their clothing. Thankfully, at $1,000 for one and $450 for the other, Denise decided this wasn't something she needed to bring home with her. Tuzigoot is a 2 to 3 story ruin also built by the Sinagua people between 1100 and 1400 AD and located just east of Clarksdale, Arizona. Tuzigoot is the largest and best preserved of the many Sinagua Pueblo ruins in the Verde Valley. Interestingly, the ruins incorporated very few doors. Instead, the inhabitants used ladders accessed by trapdoor type openings in the roofs to enter each room. After we got up this far, we noticed some people up on top of the building here, and also there was an entryway, so we decided to go in, and seeing that they had a ladder, we proceeded to get up on top of the roof, and there's quite a view up there. And interesting, the people that we met up there told us about the city of Jerome, and that's how we ended up going over to visit that city afterwards. Seemed like no matter where we went out west, it was really windy. As we were on the way to Jerome, we passed through Clarksdale, and I spotted this Arizona Copper Art Museum. But unfortunately, we didn't have time to visit. Plus, I think it may have been closed anyway. Jerome, Arizona is a historic copper mining town located near the top of Cleopatra Hill between Prescott and Flagstaff, Arizona. It was once known as the wickedest town of the West. After its founding in 1876, it was at one time the fourth largest city in Arizona, peaking at around 15,000 in the 1920s. After World War II, the demand for copper was greatly reduced, and the population dropped to around 50 to 100 people, and then it was promoted as a historic ghost town. The federal government designated it as a National Historic District in 1967. Today, Jerome is a thriving tourist and artist hub with a population around 450. Jerome resides above what was once the largest copper mine in Arizona, which was producing an astonishing 3 million pounds of copper per month. Once a thriving mining camp full of miners, bootleggers, gamblers, and prostitutes, it is now a bustling tourist destination full of artists, museums, and gift shops. And you can translate that into tourist trap. I'd say this taxi driver has been in there for quite a while. And this is pretty much what the city of Jerome consists of. We saw this sign about the Gold King Mine, which is a few miles away, so we drove over there, but it was pretty much closed up, and it was getting late in the day. I think it must have been 5, 6 o'clock. But I don't think we missed very much. And just another tourist trap. Red Rock Scenic Byway is about a 15-mile drive on Route 179 in Sedona. This is the Chapel of the Holy Cross. It was built in 1956, and it's rated number one of the best 20 attractions to see in Sedona. This is just a big mansion I spotted as we drove by on our way up to the church. Homolovi Ruins State Park is located just a few miles north of Winslow, Arizona. In 2011, the Hopi Indians lobbied and got the name changed to just Homolovi State Park. They didn't like the name ruins in it. The Homolovi cluster of sites includes 7 separate Pueblo ruins built by various prehistoric people, including ancestors of the Hopi people between 1260 and 1400. I guess this is what you can consider total desolation. Not much around anywhere. Oop. And if you're really interested, you can pause the video to read any of these display signs. And unfortunately, the site is riddled with large holes, kind of resembling foxholes, as a result of illegal digging by treasure seekers and pot hunters over the years. That's the mountains off in the background, but looking in the sun, you probably can't see anything. But this is literally being in the middle of nowhere. Although we aren't that far from the town of Winslow, maybe 7-8 miles. But there's sure nothing out this way. Oh my God, an ancient Indian.
Came to life.
Yeah. You see the road we come in on. And maybe if you see a little flickering reflection out there, that's the town of Winslow. Yeah, we spotted these wild burros alongside the road as we were driving back to our campsite. And we got a campsite, we drove around the loop road, and you can see us right there in the center under that big tree. From Winslow, we made a 4.5 hour, 238 mile drive to Albuquerque for one night, then the 3 hour, 40 minute, 200 mile drive down to Roswell. That 200 mile drive down to Roswell was absolutely nothing anywhere except these 2 cowboys we saw alongside the road. We stopped and asked for direction, but they knew nothing and pointed us to nowhere. And if you break down or run out of gas out of here, you are totally on your own. It was so windy when we got back in the coach. I had to use both hands to hang on to that door to try and close it. We had driven through Roswell several years ago on the way to Carlsbad Caverns, and one of the things that shocked me the most was how large the city is, with a population of well over 50,000 people. I just thought it was a desolate crossroads somewhere out in the middle of the desert, but it's a thriving city. We arrive in Roswell, and as you can see, everything and every business has an alien theme to it. And our campground was not to be outdone. These three guys were standing out front to greet us when we arrived. Yeah, look up, look up. It wasn't too bad of a campground. I mean, the roads inside were big enough and easy to get around and get into our site. Sites were a little bit close together, but we were only there for, I think, 2 nights and then proceeded on our way. These green people welcomed us everywhere. And I thought these streetlights were funny. They even had the alien theme to them. And we couldn't leave town without going to the Alien Museum. And of course, they had a lot of props and posters from many of the old TV shows and movies about creatures from outer space. This is Don Schmidt, a UFO researcher, and he was there giving a lecture and trying to sell his book. It appeared Dunkin' Donuts had the largest alien-themed sign, but even McDonald's wasn't to be outdone with their spaceship-looking architecture. The cheapest gas we found anywhere on our whole trip was in Roswell, New Mexico, of all places, over 200 miles from nowhere. I tried to get this guy to take me for a ride, but he wouldn't go anywhere. Come on, let's get going. It's that away. Get up, it's that away. Let's go home. Yeah, I had to chuckle. Even all the streetlights in town had the alien theme to them. And at 110 outside, you can see the temperatures haven't cooled down much. Well, we stopped and top off the fuel tank, and then headed on to St. Angelo, Texas. We were here for 2 nights, so we had one full day to go into town and check out and see what it was like. And I spotted this Eggmeyer's General Store, so we went in to look around. And as it turned out, we got inside. It actually encompassed about 4 other storefronts. It was huge in there, and they had tons of interesting things to go check out. Some places it was almost like a museum. They had these model airplanes hanging from the ceiling. And they were big. And they had a little model railroad running around a big loop in the store. Candy everywhere. It was very tempting, but we avoided taking any home with us. Now these are what you would call wind chimes. They were big. And they even got bigger. We ever heard of pickle soda? I had to confess, I did pick up some of that triple X root beer. This looked like the first plane I ever flew on, way back in 1961. Can never leave a store like that empty-handed. Yeah, those dang Dairy Queens seem to be everywhere. Well, here's my score for the day. Some blueberry bourbon pecan jam and triple X root beer. And there's a root beer I got from Death Valley along with some sarsaparilla. And another 250 miles down the road, we made it to the El Satan campground in Castroville, which is about 20 miles from San Antonio. And of course, we had to visit the local Happy's Bakery in town. And I guess it was a blessing. They were sold out most of the things we were looking for. But we did come back. And we made it to our son's graduation, June the 2nd. This is 6 in the morning. And we got there early. They had what they call the Airman's Run. I think it was around 6:30 or 7 in the morning. And then they come back in their dress blues for the formal graduation. So we got to spend some precious time with our son. And the first thing he wanted was head for a steakhouse. Proud mama and proud papa. Oh, we did make it back to Happy's Bakery. This time it was early in the morning, so we were able to have a better selection. And I'll confess, we did not leave empty-handed. We also made our way up to the Buc-ee's, which is north of San Antonio, and had to check out what they had. Yeah, this is the bakery section, and this is all different kinds of jerky. And they make their beef biscuit sandwiches fresh every day, all day long. You like hot stuff? They have it. Yeah, did I mention you can't leave Happy's Bakery empty-handed? This was our score we made from there. But as we were leaving the Buc-ee's, I did a check on Black's Barbecue, and they had a restaurant close by, so we did stop and visit there. That saved us a long drive over to Lockhart, which is the barbecue capital of Texas. And we had one last relaxing night in Castroville, then it was off to Beaumont, Texas, and on our way home. And from Beaumont, it was a 340-mile, 6-hour drive down to Biloxi, Mississippi. And we had hopes to maybe tag up with our son there because he had already been transferred to Keesler Air Force Base. But we couldn't see him, and we did stop by the local casino, and they had a all-you-could-eat seafood buffet, and it was well taken advantage of. from Biloxi, it was a relatively short drive to Frontenac Springs, only 190 miles and a 3.5 hour drive. And we finally have the opportunity to slow down and relax a little bit. It was a nice stay here in Frontenac Springs. Following day, we had to make the 6-hour drive, 330-mile drive down to Grand Oaks in Lady Lake and stop for their most expensive fuel stop along the way. We stayed at Grand Oaks for 4 nights, just kind of really slowing down. This gave us a chance to unwind and visit with some really close friends who had just purchased new homes up in the Ocala area. And then they come down to visit us, and we went over and wandered around the villages. The Villages is a pretty interesting place. Basically all retired people and golf cart city. Everybody drives golf carts everywhere. And I believe they have 3 town square areas that has live entertainment every evening. Well, this concludes part 5 of my 5-part series of our spring trip out west. I hope you've enjoyed riding along with us and return for more of our motorhome adventures in the future.